Good morning, everybody. This is Pastor Ned. Glad you could be with us today for the lobby, and it's going to start for ercla.tv in about 5, 6 seconds. But just welcome everybody. Leave a comment below the window on YouTube. Want to know what God's saying to you? Okay. So, good morning, everybody. So glad you could be with us today, and what a great message, and would love to hear your thoughts and what God said to you during the message today. Like, here's what I want you to know, just kind of like, I always love to do this. What's your takeaway? How did God speak to you? What did he say to you about, obviously we're supposed to say, I am a burden bearer, right? And that's so true. That is so true. And, I want to just, but I want you to kind of reflect upon how did God speak to you about that? What are some of the maybe share some of the anxieties or fears you have about being a burden bearer? Sometimes people feel inadequate about it. Maybe Pastor Clark cleared up a confusion for you that was really helpful for you. So share that with me today, and would love to share that with everybody else on this platform. And you need to know that people watch this lobby on YouTube. So you could tell people they want to tune into the lobby later on. You could just you tell them to go to YouTube and at ERCLA video, and they can find the lobby and watch it later on. A couple of things I just wanted to chat about really briefly with you. And first of all is that when I think about bearing one another's burdens, I loved how Pastor Clark talked about Jesus as our example, right? That famous passage in Matthew 11 where Jesus says, "Come to me, all of you who are weary and heavy burden, and I will give you rest." That's a powerful passage. But the word that comes to my mind is walking alongside. You know what? It's so encouraging and a blessing when all of a sudden, you're going through a difficult time and someone is walking alongside of you through that burden. Um, Very powerful, and couples ministry helps with that. Celebrate Recovery obviously helps with that. It's a safe place for people to find help for their healings, help for their hurts, habits, and hangups. Most people have this idea that Celebrate Recovery is only about alcohol and drug addiction, and we do help people with those issues. But gosh, there's people that struggle with food addiction. There's people that struggle with anger issues. There's people that struggle with trying to fix people, right? So that's one thing, walking alongside somebody who's lost a family member. Dave and Rosemary said there are friends who have lost family members. I heard the Holy Spirit say, continue to encourage them and speak of me. And that's what Rosemary said. Yeah, great comment, Rosemary. Remember last week when Pastor Ken talked about comforting one another? That's what brings comfort, walking alongside people carrying their burdens. And you don't necessarily have to have the right words to say, just being there is powerful for people. That's walking alongside people's burdens. But also when people have struggles in their life, it's I liked how Pastor Clark said it's also about redirecting them to something that can help them, right? Don't just let them. I mean, it's one thing to comfort and be with them and walk alongside of them, but you can't fix them, right? But you gotta, if you can help redirect them to get the help they need, that's really really important, right? Wendy shares in disappointed. In disappointment, I find it easy to want to reject others, but I am encouraged to join God to fight the battles while trusting God to bring healing and wholeness. Thanks, Wendy. Appreciate that comment. That's I love the honesty and the vulnerability that you're sharing in that regard. I think people struggle with honesty and vulnerability, but when we walk alongside these issues, these burdens that we carry. Safe places. Are you a safe person for people to talk to? That's important. That means you're not there to judge or fix, but you're there to listen and redirect, and that's a really important thing. Um, because you don't want to get enmeshed with people's difficulties, right? I mean, when I say enmeshed, so I'm going to hold up this illustration. There's one thing to become close to people, right? And then there's this thing what we call enmeshment, where you get intertwined with people. And so, for example, you have to follow what I call the lifeguard principle. And if you know what lifeguards are trained when they run into when they swim in the ocean or in the pool, they usually carry this big plastic thing with them, and because one of the things that they know is that when they swim out to the person drowning, they hold out that piece that tube that they're carrying and say, hold on to that. One of the things they teach you in lifeguard training is do not get so close to them that they grab onto you. Because if they grab onto you, they're in a state of panic. And when they're in a state of panic, they're going to just pull you down and drown you also. In fact, sometimes sometimes the lifeguard will go out there and someone's in a panic and they try to grab onto them and they use that tube or that whatever thing and they kind of hit them across the face or do something to turn them around, put them on their back because they cannot let the person grab onto them. And that's what happens sometimes. We try to help people and then which is good to help people. We got to walk alongside, carry the people's burdens, but we cannot absorb all their issues or all that pain in that sense. We got to be able to have the ability to encourage and bless and redirect them. That's what's really, really powerful to do. And so that's that lifeguard principle, save them, but the best way to save them is to redirect them, right? Or, to get them, here's the life reserve. We're here to help you, carry your burden and I'll walk with you. Sometimes I work with Celebrate Recovery Ministry and it's amazing. Some people are coming with someone to Celebrate Recovery. They don't have an issue with a struggle with addiction or with porn or with drugs or porn or food or anger, but they're coming because they're bringing somebody with them. And they want that person to know that they're with them. And sometimes I've seen people come and stay with that person they love for 4, 5, 6 weeks at Celebrate Recovery until they get kind of embraced by the group because they know that they're kind of scared to take that step out there. So that's really good. Dave and Rosemary. Rosemary is affirms that that principle, right? Redirecting has its time and place. As Pastor Clark said, we are not here to fix or save them. In fact, we say this when we have open share groups that Celebrate Recovery. One of the boundaries we set is that we are here to fix one another. We are not here to fix one another. We're here to support one another. We don't do crosstalk. We just listen and encourage and bless, but we encourage them to get involved with the groups and connect with people, right? Because you find people that are there to help you. Wendy says, Dave, listening and seeking God gives us strength and direction. Absolutely, right? That's what Dave shared. Be still and know that I am God. And Wendy responds, yes, Dave, listening and seeking God gives us strength and direction. So a great challenge when you think about it, carrying one another's burdens, bearing with each other's burdens, right? And I am a burden bearer, right? We are burden bearers, right? That's what God has healed us. God has borne our burdens and has called us to bear one another's burdens. It's I'm just going to close with this so you can kind of think about this. Pastor Clark mentioned the story, I think in Luke 5. It's also in Mark chapter 2 of the 4 friends who carry their friend to Jesus, right? And they carry the burden, 4 friends, and then they can't get into the house. They dig a hole through the roof to get that person to Jesus, And I just think about one of the greatest ways we can help people in their burdens is get them to Jesus, right? Get them to church. Get them to a Celebrate Recovery ministry. Get them to the couples group. Get them to come on a Sunday morning, I've been recently working with a gentleman in our church who's brand new to the community. But anyway, he was referred to me, and we've been talking and working with him, counseling with him. And so Pastor Ken, myself, and Mike Kim invited him to come to church. He came to church. He is now, 3 or 4 months ago, he was struggling with depression. Now that depression is lifted because he's finding other people who are there for him. And one of the things he tells me is that I go to the men's group on Sunday night with Pastor Mike Kim, and it's so powerful for me when I hear other men sharing their burdens and their struggles and their heartaches and how God is helping them and other people are walking alongside of him. And then he talked to me a couple weeks ago just about how he opened up his life to them. And when he opened up his heart to them, it helped them to be open. And when he opened up his heart to them, he thought they were going to judge him. And what he found out was that they were there and they encouraged him and blessed him. And they redirected him to think in different ways. They didn't try to fix him. They just tried to help him move in the right direction. And he found help and support. And he's actually living way, like 40 miles away, but he is so connected now to Emmanuel. He said, I'm going to make that drive every single week on Sunday because I'm finding help. I'm finding encouragement. He has found a safe place at Emmanuel Reformed Church. And there's a lot of safe places for people at Emmanuel Reformed Church where you can find people that are safe people to help you carry your burdens. So you can reach out if you're watching this on YouTube later on, or you can, if you're watching this right now, you can tell other people about the types of ministries that Emmanuel has and the type of church that Emmanuel is to help people to carry their hurts, their habits, and their hang-ups and to overcome them. Not just walking alongside, which is really important, but walking alongside people to help them overcome. What a great privilege it is for each and every one of us to be able to be a burden bearer for others, just as Christ was a burden bearer for us. We are blessed to be a blessing. Amen. We are blessed to be a blessing. I pray God have his richest blessing upon you today, and that you will just you will go forth today and this week and seek ways that God can use you as a burden bearer. God bless you. Have a wonderful day.